With Deadpool and Wolverine making their way over to the MCU, now is the perfect time to close the book on the Fox chapter. My Fox watch begins with X-Men 2000.
Hey, it's me.
Prove it.
You're a dick.
Okay.
Shia, what is going on, everybody? It is I, yours truly, the Ace, here with my review to X-Men 2000. And before I get started, join me in the comment section and let me know what you thought about this movie, the first in the Foxverse. And I will be reviewing all 18 Fox films leading up into Deadpool and Wolverine. And I'll also be doing an entire Fox ranking of all 18 movies from the worst to the best. So if you're a fan of the Foxverse and these X-Men movies, Fantastic Four, Daredevil, Elektra, New Mutants, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. It should be a good one. I'm excited to talk about it. Let's get into it. As a child, I loved the X-Men. A little bit too young for the comics, but Saturday morning cartoons was where I was at. Young Ace sitting there with a big bowl of cereal right in front of the TV, watching X-Men the animated series. So in 2000, when they were coming out with this, 12-year-old young Ace could not wait to see this movie. I, as a child, was absolutely enamored by this movie. The nostalgia was there from the jump. Being able to see these characters that I watched every Saturday on the big screen was absolutely incredible. As an adult, rewatching this movie, it actually has been a while since I went back and rewatched it, just doing it just for this review. It has its pros and cons, you know what I'm saying, to this movie. Does it hold up? I don't know. We'll have to see to the end of the video where I'll let you guys know. But I definitely enjoyed rewatching it. Even though I know almost every single thing that happens in this movie, I'm still at the edge of my seat, watching it, enjoying it for what it's worth. Is it the best superhero movie? No. Is it the worst? Far from it. But this movie coming out in 2000, it was so iconic and such a pioneer for the superhero movie genre. It wasn't the first comic movie, but like I said, it was the first in the Foxverse. And if it wasn't for the success of movies like this, who knows if we even get the MCU, DCEU, or any other Fox movies. With the $75 million budget, what they were able to do was absolutely astonishing. Ended up making a little under, I should say, 300 million. That's incredible for that time. As a kid, I was absolutely blown away with how good this movie was. What makes this movie stand out, not just this movie, but the entire Foxverse itself, is the casting done to perfection. Some of my favorite things about the entire universe: Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, Halle Berry, James Marsden, and of course, the introduction of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. He is so synonymous to the character. It really is hard to see anybody else play that role, and I can't wait to see him in a couple of weeks bring Logan to the MCU. This has always been a strong point in this universe. These characters absolutely look like the comics brought to life. From how they looked, to the visuals, to the effects, in my opinion, all done really well. I will never forget being a child and watching that first scene of Wolverine's claws coming out at the bar. Look out! That scene, how could you not get hype as a child? Incredible to see in live action. And like I said, casting and visuals is something that this universe has never lacked. Now, because we have such great casting with great actors, we're really able to get the most out of these characters, and they're able to build, starting with this movie. I love the relationships between these different characters. Logan and Rogue's character, sort of like a brother-sister protector dynamic. How Logan's able to save her, same thing vice versa. The relationship between Magneto and Xavier, how they're both going after the same goal of mutant equality, just from two different perspectives on it. And it makes for such thrilling character arcs, and those are definitely some of the driving forces. Also, when it comes to characters, I like how they're able to sprinkle in a lot of famous X-Men throughout the course of this film. Like, we see Jubilee in the background, Iceman, Pyro, you know what I'm saying? Just the little things like that is kind of cool. And then obviously some of these characters get to have bigger roles in the future, but it's good to see them really briefly throughout this one. Now, from a story standpoint, I do think it's solid. Is it perfect? No, but it's easily digestible for younger viewers and a good introduction to this universe. I like the misdirection that they use with the whole Logan character as far as not knowing why Magneto was, after him when he was really after Rogue. So that left for a good twist in the second half of the movie. And while it does tackle the social issues that the X-Men encounter, like the prejudice, discrimination, persecution, it doesn't lose focus on telling a simple story. It incorporates that, and in my opinion, it absolutely works. Another thing that I think works for this is the more darker, serious tones throughout the course of this. Now, I love the MCU, but this doesn't rely on an overabundance of humor, corny jokes, quips to get it along. It tells a more serious story, but when it does decide to incorporate the jokes, they absolutely land.
You gonna tell me to stay away from me, girl?
Well, if I had to do that, she wouldn't be my girl. Oh, and Logan, stay away from my girl.
And I just love how they're able to maintain that entire tone throughout this entire film. Lastly, in this section, in my opinion, it has a really good score that keeps the momentum up throughout the course of this. Now, we might not have gotten the but instead it settles for a darker, more ominous tone that is great for this. Now, while I do love the cast and the characters, this movie does have serious issues with its character focus, meaning it chooses what characters it wants to put at the forefront. Xavier, Wolverine, and it puts a lot of great characters on the back burner. Halle Berry, throughout the course of these films, very underutilized. She's glorified eye candy, has no character development throughout any of these films. James Marsden as Cyclops is wasted. Starting with this one, we really don't get to see his leadership on display like we see in the comic books. It chooses to push Hugh Jackman to the forefront, become very Wolverine-centric, and this is where I feel like these movies don't do the characters justice, and it starts with this one. I do love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and I'm fully aware the story is centered around him, but it would have been better to have more characters get more moments, get more fleshed out. Now, I know Halle Berry had the moment, her versus Toad, Cyclops had a couple of moments, but it just didn't feel like they were at the forefront of this movie. It wanted to tell a Wolverine-centric movie, and then the other ones kind of follow suit with that as well. And like I said, it started with this one, and it just could have been better if these characters would have gotten more big moments on screen. Now, I do think this movie ages better the older I get because, I could appreciate the character focus, the character development, the relationship, stuff like that. But as a child, not a lot of action. It's not super action-packed. You want to see the powers on full display. You want to see that every chance that you get. It's not a lot in this movie, but when they do it, they do it well. Lastly, the black suits.
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
I don't know. I think I would have preferred to see that. Don't really know if it would have translated well to the big screen. Don't know if those character designs would have looked good in live action. But now we're starting to get some of them in the MCU. We'll see Logan fully in the yellow suit, which he looks incredible from the trailers. But back then, I don't think it would have worked. I think it probably would have came off a little bit cheesy with how Fox does some of the stuff. So the black suits are they're okay. I like how they're able to make fun of themselves throughout the course of this, like in X-Men 97.
Am I going to war or a circus?
What'd you expect? Black leather?
But, it would have been better to see better character costume designs. What I don't like about this movie, the underutilization of Magneto. Ian McKellen is great in the role of Magneto, but we barely get to see him really do anything. The plot line is he's trying to transfer his powers into Rogue, so that way she's the one that's weakened when the machine goes off to make, the humans mutants and stuff like that. I understand that. But it would have been cool to be able to see more of his powers and abilities on display outside of that train sequence where we only saw him tear apart the train and then hoist Wolverine. Instead, throughout the course of this movie, they do little things like we got to see the marbles, I don't know what they're called, the marble things go across and he's controlling that. Him controlling the chair, moving it with Senator Kelly. But outside of that, it wasn't a big focus with his character. He's a good actor. Yes, he's very menacing in this role. We know he's a threat, but it would have been better to see more of that than we got to see. I also thought the second act of this movie tends to slow down the pace a lot as it's trying to put the pieces in place. I understand it's setting things up for that climactic ending, but it does tend to slow the pace down just a little bit. Okay, so I'm incorporating a new segment in these type of reviews. It will only be for movies I've seen, nothing that's in the theaters currently, but as a child, when I would go to movies with people to keep the conversation going, I would always ask, what's your favorite part of the movie? We would always have great discussions, so now I'm going to give you my favorite part. Easily, Wolverine versus Sabretooth on top of the Statue of Liberty. Such a good fight sequence, really action-packed in that moment. When the momentum is at its highest, we see Wolverine squaring off versus Sabretooth. These two classic comic characters going at each other, and it's easily my favorite part, and I would love to know what your favorite part of X-Men is. Leave it down in the comment section. Before I get out of here, a special PSA from yours truly, the Ace. Exclusive The Ace Avenue Deadpool and Wolverine inspired merchandise is available right now at spreadshop.com/The Ace Avenue. Get your hands on this merch from the biggest movie of the year. And for all those that buy merchandise, send me a picture at The Ace Avenue and I'll post it right here on the channel. But overall, I do enjoy this movie. I do think as an adult, it has a lot of rewatchable parts. As a kid, I loved it, and it was a huge part of my childhood. It definitely was, like I said, a pioneer for the superhero genre, and who knows if we have any other superhero movies if it wasn't for the success of this one, not just with the fans, but in the box office as well. As far as the score, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10 on the Fox scale. I'm definitely going to be judging these movies a lot differently than I would any other movie, because we have a lot of bad ones in this franchise, but I will be covering them all, so make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys for watching. Can't wait to make more videos just like this, followed by a ranking leading up to Deadpool and Wolverine. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. As always, thank you for tuning into the Ace Avenue. I am yours truly, the Ace. Adios.